Hello, I'm so excited to talk with you today. Would you like to introduce yourself and what you do?
Hi, I'm Miss D'Amico. I am a school counselor and I've worked at Scatticoke Middle School for the last 2.5 years.
That's awesome. Um, what is your favorite part about being a counselor? Like specifically in middle school or just in general?
Yeah, I mean, middle school is my favorite age. I think it's the toughest age to work with.
Yeah.
Um, Kids are kind of trying to figure out who they are and, what they like and dislike. And it's very challenging, and I kind of enjoy that.
hmm
I just like working with kids. Obviously, I like to help them because that's part of my job, whether
hmm
it's with some social emotional issues or it's academic and teaching them skills to be successful in high school and afterwards. But I just like to have fun with them.
Yeah.
Make them laugh, be kind of goofy sometimes,
hmm
and just help them to kind of enjoy school.
hmm Yeah. What really inspired you to become a guidance counselor?
There's a couple things. To be honest, I struggled a lot emotionally in middle school, and I didn't really know who my counselor was.
hmm
I don't even know if I ever really met with them. And because I struggled, I actually had started karate in seventh grade, and my karate instructor became a huge mentor
hmm
for me. He guided me through my life, and I was very thankful for that. And I kind of always felt like I wanted to be that person for
Yeah.
kids when
Yeah.
I was older. And again, I just love working with kids. I love the energy. Um, and I just felt like people kind of always gravitated towards me naturally to like talk about things that were going on in their life or
hmm
advice. So I just kind of felt like I always had this natural ability of, helping people.
Yeah, that's awesome. I did karate when I was
Oh,
younger, and
really?
karate was a big part of my life. I sadly had to stop when I moved, right, going into middle school,
Oh.
but it's like something that I think about constantly, like persevere, with karate.
Yep,
um,
I've done it for like 20
mhm.
years, so it
Yeah,
was a huge part of my life.
yeah. What are some strategies that you use as a guidance counselor?
So, kind of going back to this whole karate thing,
Yeah.
on the South Korean flag,
hmm
there's a red and blue. It's called an yang, kind of like a yin yang.
hmm
So, what that represents is opposing but complementary forces, meaning that sometimes I need to be the tough love type of
Yeah.
counselor, and I kind of have to lay down the law and be realistic and logical with students at certain times. But then sometimes you have to be compassionate and empathetic and understanding and validating their feelings. So, certain students need one or the other, some
hmm
need a balance of the both. And that could change from one day to the next, that can change from minute to minute. So I think having that ability to recognize what the student needs and be able to utilize that is kind of something that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, that's great. I love the yin and yang stuff because I'm like, it's
Dork. I'm
so,
kind of a dork with that, but yeah.
it's so simple, but it's like, it's a great thing.
Concept,
Yeah.
yeah.
What methods, how do you like engage with the parents of the students that you're helping?
So, part of my job is providing resources. So
hmm
that could mean a lot of things. Some parents don't know what is available in their community as far as therapy and counseling, as well as the New Milford Youth Agency,
hmm
community service, maybe clubs and activities their child could get in. So just kind of making them aware of that, as well as there's many times that my students come to me and they're afraid to talk to their parents, not because their parents did anything, but just because they don't know how to start the conversation.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, whether I talk to parents on the phone or they come in for a meeting, I try to include the student, the child, and I'm kind of like their advocate. And I try to not speak for them, but I start the conversation and then I kind of let them bounce off what I'm saying with their parents.
hmm
So that's something that I try to do to help, the student out, as well as sometimes just educating parents about depression and anxiety or
Yeah. Yeah.
ADHD. I don't have a PhD, but
hmm
obviously just from experience, I can kind of help guide them along the path of how
Mhm.
they can help their child.
Yeah. What like this is really interesting to me because I think about it and I'm like, oh, I don't want to bother the guidance counselor because you deal with so many kids at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, how many kids do you specifically work with?
Um, I think my caseload was around 180.
That's crazy. Like, that's an
Yeah.
insane amount.
It,
So, how do you
it's
balance that?
it's a juggling act,
Yeah.
and sometimes you see students that aren't yours
Mhm.
because, if another counselor is on lunch or they're busy with a student, it's all about teamwork and helping each other out. But yeah, you kind of have to look at what's going on. Like, let's say like 3 students want to see you at once,
Mhm.
right? So I kind of have to prioritize, like, all right, well, this student is going through like a legit crisis. Like, they're bawling, they're in tears, they're feeling really down. So like, I'm going to see that student first versus maybe a student that just has a question or needs help with something with their grades. So of
Mhm.
course I'm going to try to see I'm going to see them all, but like, you kind of have to prioritize, who do I see first and who can I see, maybe can wait a couple hours or maybe the next day.
Yeah.
Um but the one thing is, you can't do it alone.
Mhm.
I rely on my counselors, my social workers, my teachers, my administration, and at Scatacoke, we all really work really well together. So I
Mhm.
know that if I need help with something, that someone will jump in for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we've kind of been talking about how important the job is,
Hmm.
especially in middle school, at such a
Hmm.
tough age. But what really went into that, the education that you went through and stuff like
As
that?
far as like schooling,
Yeah.
so to get into the master's program, I don't even think you needed a specific degree. I had a communications degree,
Mhm.
and you need a certain GPA. I did have to take a couple classes to get into the program for a semester, but it's a 3-year program.
Mhm.
It's part-time, so you have to take 3 classes each semester and a class in the summer.
Mm.
On top of the 3-year program, um, your second and a half year, you do a half year, what's called a practicum. So I had to work and observe 100 hours in a school,
Oh
which
wow.
I did at Newtown High School because I live in Newtown, so it was
Mhm.
nice and close.
Mhm.
And then for your 3rd year, you also have to do a full year internship. So you're working full time as a regular counselor employee. And I did that at Jockey Hollow Middle School in Monroe. And it's unpaid.
Mhm.
So I was working unpaid full time as a counselor. I was going to school at night for 3 classes, as well as working 2 part time jobs. So it's a lot of work, but honestly, I was so passionate about it. Like, I enjoyed it. I
Mhm.
loved going to
Yeah.
school and I loved, learning.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, when you care about something, you'll do anything to get there.
Hmm.
What really are the challenges of being a social worker in a school?
A school counselor.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I
I
mixed
know,
that up.
it's funny. We get mixed up, right? A
Mm,
lot. It's okay. What are the challenges? I want to kind of reword that question and say, what are the successful things to be in a school? Like I said before, teamwork. You can't do the job alone. Like, you need help. To rely on your coworkers, and as well as, in order to help kids, you got to help yourself. So, kind of, the job can be overwhelming, of course, so I have to take care of myself to take care of my kids.
mhm.
So, I have to be on my game so that I can fully support them the best I can.
Yeah, yeah. How has like this job impacted you, or like how have you learned like throughout this job?
So, in total, I've been a counselor for about 8 years.
Oh
I've
wow.
worked with grades 1 through 12, so I've experienced it all. I've learned a lot. I gotta say, like, always expect the unexpected.
Mhm.
Like, it's kind of fun because you go into work every day and you have no idea what's going to happen, good
Mhm.
or bad.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting, and you're always learning. Like, I I've never come to a point where I'm like, I know everything. I'm like, nope. I said that the kids will teach me something new
Mhm.
about myself. Sometimes it's funny because, like, our job is to teach them, and I feel like sometimes they teach me more about myself and how to be a better counselor than just, teaching them the skills that they need.
Yeah. What's something that you wish you knew in middle school?
Something I wish I knew in middle school.
Kind of a big question, but
the toughest thing about that age is sometimes kids can't see the bigger picture. Sometimes they feel like when things happen, it's the end of the world. And, I try my best to widen that perspective and say that it's not, just because you make a mistake, listen, you're growing. Even adults make mistakes, okay? We're not perfect either at all. And it's okay. Like, you figure out what you need to do, you move on, and you do the best you can. But I think the other thing that is a big issue is peer acceptance. Kids feel like they maybe have to act a certain way or do certain things to feel accepted. But you know what? Like, you just got to be yourself, and kind of jumping back to one of the other questions is I just be myself.
Yeah.
Like, I have video game tattoos. I'm obsessed with The Legend of Zelda. It's something I'm passionate about. And to be honest, that's sometimes when kids are a little hesitant to talk to me, I'll start talking about that, and it just like opens up the conversation. So I'm just kind of goofy sometimes. I love life, high energy, and I think just be yourself. Like, the people that you want in your circle, you want people that are going to accept you for your true self rather than being somebody that you're not.
Yeah.
And I know it's scary to be yourself, okay? It's really hard, but if I could go back, I'd just be like, you know what? I'm good. I love me. That's it.
Yeah. Is there any piece of advice you like to give or that you give to yourself frequently?
Well, of course, be yourself.
Yeah.
Just I know this sounds kind of funny, but do your best, forget the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Just do the best you can, regardless of the outcome. Forget everything else. That's all you need to focus on. And another quote that my karate instructor taught me is, it's about the journey, not the destination. So enjoy the journey. Like, obviously the unknown is scary, right? Like, everybody wants to know where they're going to end up, but the beautiful thing about life is the journey and just like figuring things out as you go.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is there any questions that you would like to ask me, or like anything else you want to add?
What do you feel like, have you ever like talked to your school counselor?
Yeah, I mean, especially in middle school, I definitely used all of my counselors because it was a different one each year. I used them every single year. And I mean, they helped me a lot, and I learned a lot from them, and I was able to, solve my issues, and that was definitely helpful.
Do you think there's anything that, and not necessarily those specific counselors, but do you think there's anything in general that school counselors could do better to help any kids?
I mean, that's a big question.
I know.
But I think that for me, the most important thing is when a school counselor makes you feel important, like you're not just one of the hundreds of kids, when they like they know you, you know what I mean? And you're not just another person in the like big crowd. I think that's important.
I do too, and I feel like I strive to do the best I can with that, because I know as a kid, like, if I feel valued and accepted, like, I'm more willing to talk to people and I'm more willing to try harder, knowing that I am cared about, and I try to do my best, and I really do care about my kids. It's definitely, I can't speak for other people, but it's not just a job for me. Like, I really try to go above and beyond to make them feel that way.
Yeah. Well, it was great talking to you. It was great learning about all the things and what we have in common, with karate and stuff. But I hope to talk to you again soon, and hope you have a great school year.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.